Hello people, I'm back once again with ELAVI Truth TV, and this episode is going to be about my arrest and detention a couple of weeks back. Most of you know what happened because I've spoken to you off camera, and those people that I have spoken to, I would really very much like to thank you, because I believe that I'm sitting here today because of the people that rang in to the police station and was able to galvanise a little movement on the Saturday morning on which I got arrested, leaving messages, calling the police station, speaking between each other and putting a little bit of pressure on the police and the system. Now, when I got arrested on the Saturday morning, I'll give you a bit of background. What happened was that the police had been after me as a result of certain high-level people. I know that you will have watched a video called ELAVI versus the Attorney General. Also, there's been certain judges that have been exposing in their corruption in the family court system. And as the police are basically an extension of this same system that I'm talking about, they have been used to go after me. So we have a few different entities that are all coming after me. Now, the videos that the system actually wants me for, it's finding difficulty in charging me for those videos and actually prosecute me for those videos, because they know that if they prosecute me for those videos, then there is evidence there that would implicate them in wrongdoing, judges in wrongdoing. So what they're doing is using the hatred of the mother of my children in order to bring me down, basically. So the mother of my children has written a statement in this new criminal case that will be taking place shortly. I'm not going to give too much details, but I'm going to give you the bones of what's happened. She has applied to the family court so that if my son or my daughter was to see me in town and I was to say hello to them, I would be arrested. I haven't tried to challenge this in the family court. What I have tried to do is ask the judges in the family court to give my children the right to say whether they agree with this or not, because my daughter is now 13 years old. And my son is intelligent, and it's about the competency of the children as to whether they have a say in proceedings that affect them. The mother of my children has not given them the opportunity to put their case forward. So she has gone to the family court, and in her statement for the criminal case now, she said that she went onto my YouTube channel in order to find out issues that I've been doing. She came across this video, which was me speaking in the street about wanting my children back. She goes on to state that I've named judges in the video and that I have also named my children. All very true. Guilty as charged. So the police have used this to try and kill two birds with one stone. They can't get me for this, but they'll get me for that. So they came, or should I say, the series of events that happened on the fateful Saturday in question was, they tried to find me. This is what I found out after I was released. They tried to find me, they couldn't. They rang my number and told me that they wanted me and that I was supposed to tell them where I was. I declined and said that I'll come to the police station. I took some time after the guy tried to badger me on the phone. I took some time, collected my thoughts, prepared myself mentally, and I went to the police station. I told them that I'd come to the police station. I was almost at the entrance to the police station when vans pulled out, grabbed me, apprehended me, started getting on their radio devices and shouting stuff like, "We've apprehended him, we've subdued him," creating a lot of drama. Obviously they wanted me to look like some kind of serious hardcore criminal, and that's what they did. It was so ridiculous that I was arrested at 1 minute past 9, and then when we went in the station it was actually 3 minutes past 9. So although I didn't say anything to the police who arrested me, I did feel like saying, you do realise that I've come to hand myself in and you know this. But I had mentally prepared myself to resist through silence with the police. I knew that they would arrest me using these words: "You're under arrest, and anything you say may be used against you in a court. You have the right to silence," that's what they'll say, or words to that effect. So if I've got the right to silence, that's what I decided to do. I said nothing to them in the police station. Didn't give my name, didn't give my address, said nothing, answered no questions at all, because I was standing on my right to silence. I wanted to see what would happen, because they only have 24 hours to hold you. Well, what happened was this: violence. I was stripped naked. I was dragged out of the cell that I'd placed me in for maybe 22 hours, because they got very sick of the fact that I wouldn't speak to them and wouldn't engage with them, although my right is to be silent. They came, stripped me, handcuffed me in what they call back stacking, where your hands are behind you. They forcibly took my fingerprints using force and violence. I'm still in pain because I had to go to the hospital after this. So I got the answer to my question as what would happen if you don't engage with the police. They do what they always do. They use violence. Now, the nature of this video is to tell you what happened to me, my arrest and my detention. But it's also to go into the nature of the police. And some things I'm going to show you in this video are disturbing. Now, this person, Carl Grant of the Campaign for Truth and Justice, which I am a member of now, stated to me after my arrest that I've got to be very careful because these people will kill you. And it really dawned on me that what he was saying was true, because there's a long history of police murders in police stations, and there's never been any convictions. And I believe that the violence that they used on me would have been a lot more severe if the people that I'm thanking, and I can't use all the names because there's so many people, I'd most probably be here for half an hour in its own just speaking about people, and I wouldn't want to ever, you know, not mention of certain people because they're all valuable to me and very, very grateful that they're called. I believe that the violence would have been escalated because they switch into this kind of, for one, a lot of these police are juiced up on some kind of steroids. A lot of them have been given neuro-linguistic programming, and the nature of the police is they're a violent entity. So Carl Grant, who is an inspirational character from the Campaign for Truth and Justice, very wise, said to me that I was walking a fine line between being killed, really. So what I'm going to show you now is I'm going to go to a individual called Darren Cumberbatch and what happened to him. So I'm going to roll the clip, and remember, this is disturbing.
This is Darren Cumberbatch in a hospital A&E. Police officers holding down his legs. He'd been restrained, tasered and punched by police. 9 days later, he was dead. McIntyre House Probation Hostel in Nuneaton. Darren Cumberbatch, who was living there, starts behaving oddly, going in and out of his room, running along the corridor and up and down stairs. Staff are concerned and call the police, while Darren's odd behaviour continues. He goes in and out of the toilet. The inquest into his death heard that staff were concerned that he'd been taking drugs or was mentally unwell. He leaves the toilet but then comes back, followed by police who've now arrived. Darren stays inside the toilet. More police arrive. PC Josh Neal told the inquest that inside the toilet, Darren Cumberbatch was holding a metal towel rail and swinging it at another officer, PC Mark Quinn. There are now 7 police officers at the toilet. PC Jonathan Walker told the inquest that at no time did any of the officers discuss getting an ambulance for Darren Cumberbatch, even though it was thought he was unwell. And they decide to go in. Inside, Darren is tasered twice, punched, hit with a baton and sprayed with incapacitant spray. PC Josh Neal said he punched Darren Cumberbatch 3 to 4 times. PC Stephen Jones said he thought it was 10 to 15 times. Handcuffed in front, Darren is brought out. The inquest was shown this footage as the officers take Darren from the probation hostel. They decide to take him to George Eliot Hospital in Nuneaton in a police van. Bodycam footage from the car park of George Eliot Hospital was shown to the court.
Relax. If you stop tensing your arm, it's not going to work. If you carry on tensing, you'll be dead. Relax. I've got this hand. I've got it. Relax and you won't get hurt. You relax, Darren. You got it? You got that arm? Relax your legs.
Handcuffed behind his back and with leg and ankle restraints, Darren is taken into A&E. An expert witness, Dr. Johan Grundling, said Darren Cumberbatch was critically ill when he arrived. His heart rate was 160 beats per minute and his temperature was above 40 degrees. This is Darren inside the hospital. Officers are holding his legs. His breathing is increased. Darren had been handcuffed on his front and lain on his front in the hospital car park. Inside the hospital, he was then handcuffed behind his back and lying on his back. Fiona Murphy on the left, counsel for Darren Cumberbatch's family, asked Dr. Grundling about how a person's breathing might be affected if they were laying on their front and their back. He said it was important that a person wasn't laying prone face down, and that it wasn't ideal if people were handcuffed and laying on their back. Darren Cumberbatch told medical staff he'd taken half a gram of cocaine, cannabis and alcohol. The inquest heard that the cocaine could have triggered acute behavioural disorder in Darren. Restraining or tasering people with acute behavioural disorder can prove fatal, the inquest was told. It can trigger high heart rate, high temperature and increasing rate of breathing. At George Eliot Hospital, it was 27 minutes before Darren was given a sedative. Medical expert Johan Grundling said ideally this should have been quicker. And he also said Darren should have been admitted to intensive care sooner. But the fact that he wasn't unreasonable, because nothing in his care would have changed. 9 days after Darren was restrained and taken to hospital, he died of multi-organ failure.
What I want to show you here is that we're not in America, we're in the UK. And what you saw there was basically the synopsis of the whole story of what happened. An individual with certain issues, maybe some drug issues, maybe some mental health issues, was murdered by the police. And they did that with immunity. They told you what they did. They used extreme violence on him. They so-called restrained him, which is something they like to say a lot. And it's heartbreaking to see what happened. Now, I don't know if you actually heard what went on when you saw the clip of this news report, what one of the police officers said. But I've got some other footage that I'm going to go a little bit more closely into. It's a little bit blurry and the audio isn't great. But the first statement that this man says, as this audio will play, is this. If you do not... what is it? Well, let's go in. But he's basically saying, if you keep resisting, you will die.
If you carry on tensing, you'll be dead. Relax. Relax and you won't get hurt. Relax, Darren. You got it? You got that arm? Relax your legs.
I think it's puke.
Put your head there. You're going to hurt yourself. Darren, you alright?
Yeah, you don't look good.
Sit up now, calm down. Sit up. Sit up. Don't kick out. Stop tensing, mate. Stop tensing. Maybe legs there. Just sit up. Just breathe, Darren. Breathe, mate.
Sorry for paraphrasing. If you carry on tensing, you'll be dead. Now, when I was arrested, they used this same kind of talk with me, calling me mate, being kind of cordial, pally with you. But under this kind of disguise. And what you see in this murder of Darren is the fact that they're always calling him mate. They're always trying to make it be his fault. If you keep on tensing, you'll be dead. Isn't that a threat? Isn't that saying to somebody that we have power over you and we'll murder you unless you do as you're told? Now, you can also hear giggles going on, and there's somebody saying, I think, the female officer saying, I think he's puked, doesn't look good and stuff like this. But at no time does she say, stop. At no time does anybody think about giving this person some kind of medical attention. Now, when they do take him to the hospital, where are the doctors and these so-called police officers? They work in packs like dogs, and they basically finish off the individual, finish off a human being. Now, I'm not trying to liken what happened to me with what happened with Darren. I should have switched that off, but you know, it's here now. You've heard these noises before. Let's go. I'm not trying to liken what happened to me with what happened to Darren, because I've got my life and I'm sat here. But what I am trying to say is exactly the same, is this: the methods that these so-called police officers use against people like me, or indeed Darren, who died at the hands of these police officers. And they do it in such a casual way. They have no conscience about it. They do not care in the least. Do you think those police officers going home and worrying about the death of this individual? Not a chance. No, they're not. So basically, I'm making videos like this in order to protect myself, because now I feel like a targeted person. I've been having problems with the police for a long time now, and those problems have escalated since I've started speaking out, and once I went in with the family courts. I'm actually in a position where on the 13th of next month I'm going to be pleading not guilty to these trumped up charges that they've put against me, and once I do that, then I'll be waiting to go on trial. At any time now they could come for me again, because they know that the charges against me are very, very weak, and they know that in order to get some kind of stronger evidence or fabricate something against me, the pressure is on for them. So I'm not saying I live in fear, because I think being public is a way of being safe, and that's why I'm making these videos. So I'm going to sign out for now. I'm going to say that my heart goes out to the family and friends of Darren, and I hope that people understand that a lot of things are happening in this country, in and out of police cells, which I've tried to show in other videos as well, that show that the police force, they like to call themselves the constabulary, the police constabulary these days. I call them what they are, the police force, because that's all they know, force. They're a violent entity, they're a private corporation, and they hate you and me. And in the coming years, we will see exactly who the police are once the mask comes off and the true nature is revealed. Goodbye for now.